Okay, so the stance that we use in Qigong is just feet at a generous shoulder width. And then we have our knees just a little bit bent. So rather than having straight legs as you would at a bus stop, you tend to just let your knees relax forward, and that shifts the weight gently forward into your toes. We have a nice long straight spine, tailbone gently dropping down with the top of the head gently pushing up into the blue sky. And so this is our sort of standard stance. You very often find that sometimes you'll, stand up and you just have to remind yourself just to sink back down again. And I'll try and remind you from time to time. So the first exercise we do is just to get the core of the body moving. So behind the belly button, deep inside, is where we have an energy field in our body. It doesn't really relate to any organ, but we just imagine this deep in our core. We imagine turning it from side to side. And so you can just sort of softly turn your back and look over your shoulders, get the spine to slowly waken up, and then just start to turn and let the hands gently tap onto the body. So the emphasis for this exercise comes really from the very core, from the belly. We try and move the belly, which then rotates the spine, which then moves the shoulders, moves the elbows, and moves the wrists. You can open up the palms of your hands and just let them gently tap onto the side of your body. So I always start every class that I do actually with this little set of exercises. I think it's very beneficial to get the body moving, rotate the spine, all the muscles start to move, all the joints start to move. As you can feel, your spine is moving, but also your shoulders moving. Keep the elbows relaxed, the hands just gently tapping. But also we've got the hips moving a little bit, the knees even move, and the ankles a tiny bit as well. So it's a full body workout. But also, as the name suggests, Qigong, the Qi part of it relates to, well, the easiest translation is energy. And Gung translates as work. So Qigong is working the energy around the body. But there's an awful lot more to it than just that. And of course, this idea of energy, we have it in Western science, E equals mc squared, that kind of thing. But also in Chinese medicine, Chinese culture, the idea of qi has been there for 5,000 years, not 100 years as it has in our, or 150 years as it has in sort of the mechanical sense. It's been there for at least 5,000 years. If you look at the Chinese language, you find that the word for qi is in things like steam and kettle and petrol and bus. It's energy, it's moving things. And it's all the way through the Chinese culture. And so qi is very second nature to to Oriental people. It's not, doesn't make so much sense to us. And the problem for us is that we can't measure it. We haven't got machines that are fine enough to measure it. Well, that's not exactly true because, of course, our bodies are the perfect machine to measure it. Hopefully, you'll feel your qi moving and be able to experience it in due course. But as we gently turn the waist and we tap onto our body, what we're actually doing is we're getting the energy moving in the body. So sometimes that can leave you feeling a little bit dizzy. That's not uncommon when you first start doing these exercises. It's not uncommon all the way through, actually, because what's happening here is we're getting the energy moving around our body with this exercise. And sometimes it moves up into our heads. And that is what in the Western world we call dizzy. In Chinese medicine, that's known as rebellious qi, which I think is lovely. Qi that's gone the wrong direction. It's gone up into your head. So we're going to do an exercise in a minute that helps that. So if you do happen to feel dizzy, there's another thing you can do, which is concentrating on your toes. So just think about your big toes for a moment. Feel the surface where your big toes squeeze against the ground. And then what may or may not be called the index toe, I don't know, the one next to it, squeeze that against the ground and experience that on both feet. Squeeze the middle toe gently against the ground and experience that. On down onto the ring toe, on down to the little toe. So just keep your mind in this experience of feeling the contact point between your feet and the floor. Also the ball of your foot. Because your knees are a little bit bent, most of the weight will be slightly forward into the front of the foot. And so we just sort of experience that area where the ball of the foot presses down, where the toes press down. And it's a good way to stop oneself from feeling lightheaded. I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, so we can change this exercise slightly. Just go a little bit slower, but this time stretch a bit further. Look back over your shoulders, really open the spine up. So we've kind of conditioned the spine, got it moving. Now we can stretch it a bit further, use the neck as well. Okay, so chi, energy moving around the body. They say it flows along in the blood, but it also has all of its own extraordinary channels as well. This is what acupuncture deals with. It has reservoirs, as you might expect. It's a bit like a plumbing system in your body. And so in the belly, there's a great reservoir of chi. There's another one in the center of your chest, another one in the top of your, or in the center of your brain. All of these reservoirs hold chi. All the organs have got their own chi. The organs become reservoirs. It's a very complex system, very simple to use. On the other hand, it just does its own thing. But what gets in the way of your chi working properly? Well, the first thing would be physical habits. You know, perhaps you notice someone who carries their handbag on their shoulder, same shoulder for years and years. When you look at them structurally, you'll notice that one shoulder is actually lower than the other. Sometimes people who sit at their desk hunched over their computer, you know, their shoulders round, they drive in a certain way, they sort of sit in a certain way. All of these things that we can do habitually can change how well the chi flows in our body. And ultimately, when chi gets blocked, that's called pain. So very straightforward. If you've got a pain, it means the chi's not flowing well. That's sort of level 1 of blocked chi. Level 2 of blocked chi is chronic illness. We keep on doing the same thing. So diet is part of the chi story. Everything you put in your body is part of the chi story. So bad eating habits, you know, drinking habits, smoking habits, they create problems with the flow of chi in the body. And that creates chronic illness. Maybe not necessarily pain, but just something that doesn't work well, something that goes wrong in our bodies. But I think probably the most important thing is the mind, the stories we tell ourselves, the stories society tells us, the things we think about ourselves. These are what really cause chronic illness in our bodies. And so those are the things we're going to look at a bit today. Okay, let this exercise stop. Let it just slow down. It doesn't have to finish rapidly. It can just kind of wind gently down to a stop. Sometimes you'll even feel a little gentle movement inside. Let that stop. Okay, so this is the real sort of balancing exercise. Put the hands in the earth, lift up a beautiful big ball of chi. Just imagine lifting it up. And then you can kind of pour it down through your body. So imagine all this beautiful energy, and you can just bring it down. Imagine you can pour it through your head. And as the energy comes down in your body, it just helps you to kind of regain your balance, bring it down into the chest. And then we imagine it all kind of focusing deep into the belly, behind the belly button, just for a split second. And then you release the hands and imagine it just flows back down the earth like a circuit. So do that a few times, gently lifting up. Sometimes they say, imagine your chi hands brushing down through your chi body. So it moves any excess energy out of the head that might have made you feel a bit dizzy, moves it down into the chest, and eventually draws it deep into the belly where we kind of bank the chi, hold it deep inside, and let the hands relax. Continue the circuit down, as it were. Let's go again, lifting up. And pouring down. So the style of Qigong that I teach, Sheneng Qigong, doesn't have any massive sort of breathing techniques built into it. Your body just naturally breathes the way it wants to. So I mean, I tend to find that when I lift my hands up, I'm sort of spontaneously breathing in. You might find you're breathing out, it doesn't really matter. But your body just knows how to do the breathing automatically. And then we draw the energy down through the body, We can focus everything down towards the belly, holding the chi deep inside. And then let the hands relax. Okay, so we're going to do some simple forward and back bends as well. So just lift the hands up in the same way again, just stretch up into the blue sky, nice long stretch. And then you kind of join your arms and ears together. You don't kind of press the arms and ears together, but you just coordinate them. So take your arms and ears and tip them over. The body stays straight. And we've just done the nape of the neck. And then when the arms are parallel to the floor, we can start to do the back bend. So just bend into your upper back, bend into your middle back, bend into your lower back, and then just let the whole body relax down. Back of the neck relax. So when we're in this posture down here, we try and keep our knees bent. We try and keep the back of our neck as relaxed as we possibly can, not lifting the head up. Just trust that you're doing the right thing and just hang there gently. So we're going to imagine the foot split into 4 pieces. So first of all, we're going to stretch gently down towards our toes. You just gentle stretch there and then release that stretch. Then you imagine a line that's been drawn between the roots of your toes. Gently stretch towards that line and release the bend. Imagine a line that's drawn between your insteps. Just gently stretch. So you're obviously just getting a little bit deeper with each bend, back towards the insteps and release. And the final line is drawn between your heels. Go deep as you wish, gently bending and stretching. And then relax and release and just let your arms hang down. So in order to stand upright, we use a little device with our tailbone. Point your tailbone right up into the blue sky behind you, and then push your tailbone toward the front of the body and start to assemble your spine, vertebra by vertebra. When you're about half the way up, join your arms and ears together once more and try and bring those up as one piece, which just adds an extra kind of cantilever stretch onto the spine. Come up to the top and have a nice stretch up. So the next thing we do is back bends. So let your knees and hips drift forward, and you gently lean back. Stretch up and gently back. Stretch up and gently back. Stretch up and gently back. Hands up in the blue sky. The next thing we'll do is just some complementary side bends. So take the left hand down and just let the right side of your body kind of arc open all the way up inside. And then take the right hand down and let the left side of the body gently arc open. This is very good. It kind of opens up our spleen, but also the lymph opening up here. Down on the left side. Open up the right. This opens up the liver and lymph all the way up. Stretch up. And then down on the right side. Open up the left. Good. So you've seen the whole thing with the forward and back bends. We're just going to run through this whole process another 3 times. So bring the hands up into the air. So we'll do the forward bends first. Just doing the arms and ears, tip over the top of the neck. And then start to roll into the middle back, into the lower back. Let the whole thing hang down with your knees nice and soft and relaxed. Try and take the pressure off the back of your neck as much as you can. Make a little dip down gently towards your toes. And then release that bend. In line with the roots of your toes. And release. Heading back towards your insteps. And release. Back towards the heels or as deep as you wish to go. And then release and relax. Just let the body gently hang. Lift the tailbone to point up behind you. And then swing the tailbone toward the front of the body and start to stack the spine up, vertebra by vertebra. Halfway up, we join our arms and ears once again. We gently try and bring those up as a cantilever. Just puts an extra bit of stretch onto the top of the back. Stretch up into the blue sky. Let the knees drift forward and let the hips drift forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. up, and gently back, up, and gently back. Hands up in the blue sky. Let's do the side bends. Drift the left hand down. Open up the right side of the body. Right hand goes down. There's almost a sort of a back incline here as well. It's almost like you're stretching towards the back of your right knee. A tiny kind of leaning back. Not very much, just a tiny bit. Down on the left side. And down on the right side. Okay, we're going to run through this set twice more, and then we're going to go to our meditation. But the last two, let's try and do them with straight legs. So if you do them with straight legs, it just gives your hamstring a little bit more of a stretch. So tipping over arms and ears only. Legs stay straight. Go into the upper back, middle back, and lower back. And just let the body gently hang here. So if you keep the legs nice and straight, you can just shift the weight a tiny bit forward onto your toes. And that just gives the hamstrings an extra little stretch out. Just leave the body to hang there gently for a moment. Let the hamstrings lengthen. Okay, so we make our first little stretch down towards the toes. And release. In line with the roots of our toes. Release. Working back towards our insteps. And release. Working back towards our heels, nice deep bend. And release and relax, just let the whole body hang. Okay, so we lift the tailbone up behind us, gently push the tailbone towards the front of the body, start to stack the spine up vertebra by vertebra. Arms and ears come up as one piece, just to give us an extra little stretch there. Bring it up to the top, nice long stretch. Knees and hips drift forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and gently back. Up and gently back. Okay, hands up into the blue sky. Allow the left hand to drift down. Let the right side of the body gently open. Down on the right side. With the left side of the body arcing open. On the left. And on the right. Very good. Great. Let's just go through the whole process last time. Hands up into the blue sky, legs nice and straight. Stretching, tipping over arms and ears only. And then rolling into the upper back, middle back, lower back. Let the body sink and relax. Take all the pressure off the back of the neck. Tuck the tummy in, just let the body hang. An extension gently down towards the toes. And release. In line with the roots of our toes. And release. Toward the insteps. And release. Back toward the heels. Body relaxes and hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind. Tailbone gently pushes to the front. The spine starts to assemble. The spine starts to roll up. Arms and ears come up as one piece. Gently stretch up into the blue sky. Drift the knees and the hips forward as you lean back. And up. Back. And up. 3. And up. And 4. And up. Down on the left side of the body. Opening the right. Down on the right hand side of the body. Gently opening the left. On the left. And on the right. Good. Draw hands up into the blue sky, a nice long stretch up. And then we just release our hands down the sides, just let them drift down. So we've been bent forward, and sometimes that can make you feel dizzy as well. So we'll go back to our gathering chi exercise. Just imagine your hands deep in the earth, lift a beautiful ball up. It's kind of earth, yin chi, up into the heavens, beautiful yang chi, a perfect ball of balanced energy drawn down through your body, moving the chi from your head, bringing the chi deep into your chest, moving the chi down to the belly where we bank and we hold all this chi, releasing the hands, letting the chi just flow down the legs back into the earth. So gather again, lifting up. And gently pouring down. So the only codicil that comes with this exercise is if you happen to have low blood pressure, go easy with this exercise because it's very good at lowering blood pressure. And then you can find yourself feeling a bit sort of like, deflated, wobbly. But otherwise, obviously, if you have a high blood pressure, it's really good. And if you're normal, you can generally sort of feel how many is the right amount of times for you. So normally about 3 times tends to work for people, leaves them feeling stable. But if you check in with yourself and you still think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm still feeling a bit dizzy, just keep going. It doesn't matter. You can do it 10 times, 20 times, and then just join in with whatever else is going on. We'll just lift up once more, if that's all you need, as it were, and then bring the chi down to the belly. So we'll just bring our hands through the chi head, deep into the chi chest, and bring the hands all the way down to the belly. And then just let your hands settle on the belly button. So in our standing stance, we try and have our feet shoulder width, our knees a little bit bent, hands on the tummy. We just tuck the tailbone forward a tiny bit. It's only sort of 0.5 centimeter or so, just a little bit of movement forward of the tailbone. Nice long spine. Tailbone kind of sitting down as we bend our knees. Top of the head is called bai hui, kind of lifting up. So we just imagine the spine getting nice and long between those 2 points. Tailbone drawing down, head lifting up, hands on the belly. Focusing chi deep inside, holding all this energy deep in our belly. The more we gather chi deep inside, the more we can heal ourselves. So for the rest of the hour, we're just going to do standing or sitting meditation. It's up to you. And sometimes it's nice, if you feel that the standing posture is going to take away your calm of your mind, it's just to kind of place a seat behind you. If you sort of have a seat sitting there, and you can stand as long as you want, and then suddenly you sort of think, oh God, my legs are really annoying me. You can then sort of sit down and just keep going. So it's, it doesn't matter how you do this. If you feel you need to lie down, that's fine as well. The standing meditation is great because it really helps chi to gather in your body. But there's also the fact that, as you start to practice qigong, sometimes your feet feel like they're on fire. Sometimes your back comes up with a new pain you've never discovered before. Sometimes your hips or your knees or whatever it might be. And so what's important is that we try and keep the stability of the mind, and the body shouldn't really get in the way of that. And so what we try to do is we try to practice our standing as long as we can, but then don't let that become the sort of, overarching problem itself. Feel happy to sit or lie down, whatever you want to do. It's never a problem. So as we concentrate on our belly, we've got this idea, or it's actually a poemic form that the founder of Zheneng Qigong has written. His name is Dr. Pang. He's a lovely chap in his 80s. He created this form back in the 1960s, 1970s. And he tried to encapsulate all of the ideas in a standard kind of Chinese poetic form, also a song really as well. And I'm just inspired to sing it for you in Chinese, which I don't often do, but anyway, we will anyway. And then I'll explain to you what it means. So it goes like this. Ding tian li di, sing song yi chang, wai jing ne ji. 身穷马公，一念不起，深究在空，深意交替。 就身融融，就身融入，就身融融。Feet connected deep into the earth. Earth energy flowing up into our bodies. Heads in the blue sky chi pours down. Let the whole body be relaxed. Allow your mind to be calm. Quiet inside, quiet outside. Is there any difference between inside and outside? The mind becomes calm, like a pool of clear water on a mountainside, reflecting the blue sky. Imagine that you can look inside your body, scan through your body for anything that feels blocked, uncomfortable. Make this the focus of your healing today. Imagine that where you put your mind, the chi flows there. The chi flows, the blood flows, the nutrients flow, the blockages open, everything starts to heal. Imagine beyond your skin. Can you tell where your skin ends and where the outside world begins when you have your eyes shut? It's only the left logical side of our brain that stops us from really being connected to the outside world. No difference between inside and outside. As if you were swimming through a pool of beautiful, pure chi. You always are swimming through this wonderful chi field. We can allow our bodies to let go of what is no longer needed. We can allow our bodies to absorb fresh new energy, whatever's required. This is a universe that is infinite. Resources are infinite. There's no shortage of what you need to heal yourself. So fill yourself with healing chi. But just as important is to allow ourselves to let go of the things we no longer need. When we connect in this way, we connect as a class. In Zheneng Qigong, we say no time, no space. We can connect as a class, but all the other students who couldn't make it, connect also across time and space. Then we realize there are millions and millions of people doing Sheneng all over the world. Connect with them too, with all the teachers and with Dr. Pang. We connect into the same chi field. There's going to be people with that, with the information that you need in the chi field. And of course, you've got great information to bring to them as well. So you connect with all these people to give you good information, but you give them good information. We support each other like a big chi family. So in this chi field, anything can be healed. Anything can change in your life. In just a moment, it can change. Hey, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And sometimes it's spontaneous. Sometimes it'll heal just in a second. So be prepared to let go today of the things you don't need. Be prepared to release problems. So as we stand or sit here, we just have a nice quiet mind, just have a relaxed body. We open ourselves out into the chi field. When we come to this quiet space, it becomes easier to hear thoughts popping up. And of course they do. Little bits of life try and intervene. This is your ego. Your ego doesn't really want you to be still. Your ego doesn't really want you to be looking after yourself, because the ego wants to just have fun and run wild. Like a sort of crazed, I don't know, colt in a field running around. That sounds quite benign. Your ego can be a bit naughty as well. What we need to do is just bring ourselves to a place of quiet where the ego is happy just to settle and relax itself. In Sheneng Qigong, we look at the things that create problems in our lives. So there's a kind of term in quantum physics which is called quantum collapse. It's the idea of all of the possibilities of everything in the universe that could happen. And then it takes our attention, intention, to create this kind of collapse into reality where one of those possibilities becomes the one we choose. It's exactly the same idea in Sheneng Qigong. It takes our consciousness, it takes our concentrating on something to make it happen. And we have a phrase, don't we? Put your mind to it. You know, when you put your mind to doing something, you can make it happen. But unfortunately, our ego controls our subconscious. And the ego can make the subconscious do things that we're not even aware of. So how do we get to those patterns? The problems are generally rooted quite deep. They're little patterns that we've gathered throughout our lives. And just imagine a pattern that runs something along the lines of, my father was bad to me, you know, all men are bad to me, I fear men, and then that sort of strange pattern running in the background then creates a chemical cascade through your body. And that just puts a little bit of extra cortisol into your kidneys and just exhausts your kidneys. If it only happens once or twice in a month, then that's not going to be too much damage to the body. But if it's quietly running as a little subroutine in the back of your mind every day, a little drip, drip, drip of cortisol, it's just going to exhaust your kidneys, burn them out in a kind of Western sense. So these little stories that lodge in our subconscious, they can be very damaging over a long period of time. That's often how, well, it is how all chronic illness really comes about. So what are the stories in your life today you want to dissolve? Where do these stories come from? Sometimes it's a family story. It comes through your grandparents, to your parents, to you. You know, we think about DNA that we get given by our families, but actually the stories that families carry are just as devastating as, you know, a bad DNA hand, as Western doctors would look at it. I worked with one lady who said, my grandmother died at 36 of, you know, I can't remember, pancreatic cancer. My mother died at 48 of pancreatic cancer, whatever. There was this story running through her life. And she was just saying, it's going to happen to me. And I was saying, no, it isn't, because we're going to change that thought process. Dig in and change those thoughts. That family story was incredibly powerful. Do you have a family story you're holding on to? Genes, that's another thing we get told all about these days as a result of the Genome Project. Oh, you know, I've got this bad gene that's going to act in my body. No gene acts in anybody's body without epigenetics, without the thought, without process, without something in our environment acting on them. Nobody has to have a gene problem. It comes from the epigenetic structure above, what you're thinking about, what you're saying, what you believe. What is belief anyway? Belief is just a set of hardened ideas, reinforced and reinforced. Reinforced by our dads, reinforced by our mums, things they tell us. Oh, you'll never be good at maths, you know, nobody will ever love you, whatever they say. Is that true? Is any of that true? Just somebody else's opinion of you? Don't hold on to those poisonous ideas. They create these chemical cascades in our bodies. Stories that religion gives us. Stories that politics gives us, that our society. Something about you that's not acceptable to society. What does that even mean? Somebody else's archaic ideas that they're judging you by. Hardened beliefs that you can take on as being your truth. Partners tell us things we believe about ourselves. Even our children can. The whole family can tell us these things, and we can believe them if we wish. Society, religion, work colleagues, lovers, partners. All of this information, we take it on, we embody it, and slowly it makes us ill. There's another bracket as well, stories we can tell ourselves. Gosh, we love to tell ourselves. Yeah, sometimes it might have a root in someone else's story, but you can then take it on and make it your own. Oh, God, nobody's ever going to love me. I'm unlovable, you know, or whatever your story might be. You can repeat it to yourself 1,000 times, 1,000 times a day. Toxic stories, creating toxic flows in your body. Your ego can run wild with things like that. It can constantly pester you. Your ego is very clever. It might just be trying to get on with your meditation here, trying to relax your mind, trying to look at your patterns, and suddenly your ego will pop up with a shopping list. Gently brush it aside. It happens, don't worry. It takes a while for us to steady ourselves. One way to steady yourself is just to take a gentle breath in through your nostrils. I tend to almost imagine that this sort of chi can come straight up my nostrils and go into the center of my brain and kind of illuminate my brain. I mentioned there was an energy field there, so you can sort of take one breath in and imagine it goes straight up into your brain. and it kind of illuminates the center of your brain like a beautiful light deep inside. And then when you breathe out, you can imagine the energy moving down from your brain into the center of your chest, down into your belly, and settling your mind deep in your belly. Sometimes all it takes is just one breath to bring you back into your body, to take you away from some daft idea that's spun off and taken you from your meditations. So all we're trying to do here is just to gently settle the body, gently settle the mind. Find a posture that's sustainable. And today what we're going to do is a little exercise called La Chi. It's very simple. You can just take your hands from your belly, just hold a little ball about the size of a football. When we open our hands apart, we can just imagine energy in our hands, gently kind of dissolving and opening. So that football kind of gently dissolves out. Then we bring our hands back together again. We can imagine recreating this beautiful ball of energy, fresh, pure, everything working well. So what's the idea of this? When we take our hands apart, we can dissolve problems. When we bring our hands back together again, we can bring back beautiful new solution. So this exercise works really well. You don't have to even move your hands. You can just imagine the problem dissolving, and when you and then imagine the problem, reforming. Okay, so now I've completely got that wrong. Problem reforming, that's the last thing we want to think of. So what we tend to do is we tend to put our minds onto something. So it might be as obvious as my sore knee, and we imagine our knee between our hands. We open our hands up and we imagine all the pain disappearing, all the blockages disappearing. Then we bring our hands back together. We don't think about the problem anymore. We think about a perfect working version of our knee. So for the first time, you might think, okay, I've got a pain in my knee. I'm going to gently open my hands up and let all of that pain dissolve. When you bring your hands back together, you think, perfect, everything working beautifully. And then from then onwards, don't harp on about pain and problems. All you do is gently say, I'm just going to dissolve my knee. I'm just going to bring back perfect working energy into my knee. And you could work like that. So that's a very kind of physical and obvious way to work. But perhaps we want to work with something a bit deeper. Perhaps you want to work with the relationship with your dad, let's say. So you can imagine that kind of encapsulated almost in front of you. You think, right, the problem today I'm working with is my dad. And what we're going to do is gently open the hands and dissolve all of the problems with my dad. And then when you bring your hands back together again, you just think everything working well, everything perfect. Okay, so I refer you back to my earlier comment, no time, no space. What if your dad has passed on and things were left in a really bad way? Well, that's perfect, because all you do is just allow that whole part of your life to dissolve and let go of it, back out into the universe. And then when you bring your hands back together again, just bring back happiness, joy, love. So we're going to pick on something to work with. I suppose another variant might be, an organ, I don't know, breast tissue, liver, whatever it might be, So just have a think for a moment what you want to dissolve and what you want to fix. So it might be a pattern, it might be a problem. There's another variant to this as well. You might have a meeting coming up with, your surgeon or with someone who's the bank manager or whatever it might be. You might be fearing for what's happening in the future. Well, no time, no space works beautifully for that as well. You could imagine the circumstances of that meeting and just dissolve all the problems for that, interview or meeting or whatever it might be. When you bring your hands back together again, you can think, it's going to be perfect, everything working well. So you see what a massively flexible tool La Chi is, especially when you apply the idea of no time, no space. So we can just let everything dissolve. All of the problems gently dissolve as we open our hands up. When we bring our hands back together again, we can just see the perfect solution. And of course, the point is, if you keep on harping on about my sore knee, my sore knee, my sore knee, I'm fixing my sore knee, your brain still hears that. It still hears sore knee. And so the problem doesn't shift because you're not kind of, so you think, my sore knee once, and then afterwards, everything's perfect with my knee, dissolving everything around the knee, bring back everything perfect with my knee. So you don't, use vocabulary that's going to keep the problem in place, because what we're trying to really do is let go. And when you open, you can think of blue sky. You can let this problem dissolve out into the blue sky, infinite, beautiful blue sky. And then when you bring your hands back together again, you can just think everything perfect, everything new. So there's a Chinese word that goes with open, and it's kai, K-A-I. And that does, I mean, there's so much in the Chinese symbols. Kai doesn't just mean open, it means let go, it means release, it means give up, it means all these kind of ideas. So we say Kai, which let everything go. And then her. Her means draw energy in. It means gather energy. It means bring back, I suppose. So there's all these kind of layers in Kai and her that we can add. But all you need to know is just this idea that when you say Kai, everything dissolves out into the blue sky. When you say her, everything comes back. And I would also say you don't even have to say them if you don't want to. You can just listen to me saying Kai and her. And so the choice is entirely yours, whatever you feel. I'm just going to change the sound so it's a bit clearer. Okay, so let's just open the hands up, gently drift and say Kai. Just feel you can dissolve something, some problem, just opening, letting go of it. Now we bring back healing. Just think about perfect healing coming back into your life. Kai is open, let go, release. Her brings healing chi deep into your life, change deep into your life. Open, open, open. Gather chi in. Body relaxes, dissolves, softens out into the chi field, out into the blue sky. Her allows you to bring the resources of the universe back into your body, back into your life, wherever it's needed. Just a couple more for the time being. Just gradually draw your hands back towards your belly. Just let the hands sit once again on the belly button, holding all this chi deep inside. Just check your posture, knees a little bit bent, back straight. Shoulders relaxed, not lifted up to the ears. Knees soft. Tailbone softly tucked forward. Sitting down. So sometimes we find that we start working with an idea in La Chi. And then after a few times you think, oh, this is not quite right, or it doesn't seem to be needed, or, oh, that already feels fixed. All of these things are right. You have to listen to your inner self and see what seems right. So can you switch onto another area of the body? Can you switch onto another subject? Of course, no problem. You might start, working with your grandparents thinking, oh, that's always been the problem. After a couple of minutes, you think, oh, no, it's not, it's not it at all. Actually, it's much more to do with my partner or something like that. So you can chop and change in the middle of La Chi, work through whatever feels, and sometimes things just suddenly feel complete. You think, oh, there's not much point in carrying on with that. That seems to be okay. So then you can change subject. There's also one last possibility, and I just refer you to the same thing that all therapists always say. It's that aeroplane thing. Put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the person sitting next to you. It's that idea is definitely work on yourself first. Make sure that you heal your own body. But sometimes it feels like you might want to heal your relationship with someone else. You might want to think of sending some love to someone else, perhaps to heal them. So why couldn't that be the way you work as well? When you open your hands, you can gently help dissolve somebody else's problem. It might be related to you as well. And then you can bring back healing into their lives. And so, perhaps the story might be you've always had a toxic relationship with your sister. You think, well, I can certainly help heal her life. Don't try and don't try and get too prescriptive about it. That person really needs this help, just allow it to be unconditional love. And just think, I've always had this problem with my sister, so if I just gently dissolve that problem for her and then bring back complete healing, perhaps it might work for both of us. Just remember, nothing is not connected. We are always connected. So whatever it is you choose to work on now, just stand for a moment and think, where could I best apply a little bit more La Chi? And then you think to yourself, okay, right, that problem, I'm just going to use this Chi to heal that problem right here, right now. And that's the last we're going to think about that problem. So now it just becomes the relationship between me and so-and-so, the relationship between me and my organs, between me and my knee, whatever it might be. So don't harp on about problems. Gently open the hands and see the whole of this problem dissolving and opening out into the blue sky, out into the universe. Why limit yourself by blue sky? Let's have the entire universe. When we draw our hands back, imagine bringing back the vast resources of the universe to heal your tiny little problem. It's like taking a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. We're going to open this problem out to the entirety of the universe. When we bring back the infinite resources of the universe, of course it will heal. Draw the chi deep inside. Allow that to fill your life. So we open and say Kai. Kai. Gently close the hands, gathering chi in. Expand out into the vastness of it all. Bring back this fabulous healing chi. Sometimes we worry that we're doing these things wrong. You can never do Qigong wrong. Don't panic. Just do two more. Let's do another two, a little bit more quietly, a little bit more delicately. We can just do two more, just maybe movement and breath, no sound. When you've finished, you can just drift your hands onto the belly, just gathering chi, gathering healing, drawing everything deep inside. So now we stand here with our hands on our belly, feeling like everything we've worked on is coming to fruition. As I said, sometimes the physical just takes a bit longer. Often it's taken us, 5 or 10 years to make our bodies in this state. So it's not a surprise that the healing sometimes takes a little bit, slower. Sometimes it's spontaneous. Sometimes it just takes a little while. The point is that every day with Qigong, you take another step forwards, and any of your problems, they don't progress. They take a step backwards. So you move forwards, your problems slowly melt away, and every day is a healing day. Every day your body changes. Every day your thoughts change. Every day you bring about this new reality for yourself. So sometimes doctors will say to you, well, nothing's really changed. Whatever the problem is still there. But you think to yourself, no, it's not. It's being hollowed out from the inside. One day it'll just collapse and disappear, gone. In the meantime, I'm moving forward and the problem is going further and further away from me. Same with the relationship issues. Sometimes people just suddenly change in a most unexpected way. You think, oh goodness, didn't think that would ever happen. But my Qigong has helped it to dissolve and change. It's about changing your relationship to your life and to the world around you. And Qigong does that. Heals our physicality, heals our mind. So as we stand here, we're just going to close off. We can draw 3 circles around the belly. I tend to go anti-clockwise, which is kind of down below the belly button, towards the left-hand side, up and over the top, and then down towards your right foot. So that's kind of anti-clockwise. But if you find yourself going the other way, it really doesn't matter. Just let your body do what it wants to do. So traditionally, it would be anti-clockwise 3 times around the belly, and that just helps to gather lots of energy inside. And then we can go 3 times in the opposite direction, and that just sends a message to the body. Okay, we've finished our practice. Let's hold all this chi inside. Let's just kind of zone into the core of us. But also it's a kind of message to the body to bring yourself back into your physicality. I mean, we've been out wandering the universe, so it's a good idea just to come back into your body. So really feel your body, everything in your body working well. Deep inside your dantian, the energy field, you've got lots of chi building up there behind your hands. This energy can heal your body. Just imagine you can kind of sweep the energy from the belly up your spine into your brain, illuminate your brain with chi, illuminate your neck with chi, illuminate your shoulders all the way down to your hands, to your fingertips, whole of the spine lit with chi, your ribs, upper torso, into the middle, into the lower torso, so the whole of the body filled with chi, down into your tailbone, hips and pelvis, down to your thighs, fill your knees, down into your calves, fill your ankles and feet, all of the back surface of the body. We tend to forget the back of the body. Let's fill the whole of our body with chi. This abundance of energy in our body, all functions of our body return to perfect working order. All functions of the body, perfect working order. Everything back to normal. All functions normal. Body working well. Brain working well. Energy strong. Let's just imagine, we call it the Wei Qi layer. It's like an inch thick coating of Qi around your skin. It's like a protective glow of Qi around your body, protecting you, keeping you safe. And then imagine around that, your Qi body. It's like a meter in front, a meter behind, above, below, left, right, kind of beautiful bubble of Qi that we exist in. It protects us, but it also connects us to the outside world. So as you stand there, imagine yourself in this wonderful fields of Qi, your body lit, every cell in the body lit with Qi, working well, all functions of the body returning to normal. Put a big smile on your face. And then slowly release your hands down by your sides. You can open the eyes, you can move the fingers, move the toes, shake the legs out a little bit. If you want to do a forward bend or a side bend or anything like that, don't come up too quickly because it can leave you feeling quite dizzy. But if you need to stretch anything out, then just have a little stretch out. Just move the body and relax in whatever way you fancy. I'm just going to change the setting on the screen for a moment. What do we do? It's called Spotlight. Okay, so then we finish off by saying haola. So haola in Chinese translates as good already. Everything is fixed already. It's kind of like an affirmation that all the work we've done, everything is solved. We put our hands up in the air and we shout haola. I count 1, 2, we shout haola. So if you'd like to unmute yourselves, you can join in the haola chorus as well. Yeah, so we say haola 3 times. Okay, so put your hands up in the air. 1, 2. Ha-la. 1, 2. Ha-la. Last time. 1, 2. Ha-la. Very good. We've got a salute for each other. So you bring your feet together and then you take your right hand and kind of bring it palm up, and the left hand palm down. You put them on top of each other and you kind of pull the fingers in together, and then you put the thumbs on the end. So this is called entirety hands. I think in Buddhism they use the prayer position. In Taoism they kind of use the fist, I think, like that. And in the Zheneng Qigong we have this, which is called entirety hands for our salute. Really nice to see you guys today, and lovely. Well done for getting through the whole thing. This video will be up in line, so I'd love you to share it with anybody else you know. And yeah, have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.